I will do what I must. You will try. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Kitty.dad.kenobi. These two hilts, Anakin and Obi-Wan, these are the hero versions of them. The stunt versions of them, there's not very many produced, and which is pretty surprising considering just how pivotal the Mustafar battle scene really is. It shapes everything to come. So a stunt prop differs from the hero prop in that it doesn't have all the greeblies, it doesn't have the big control boxes on the side, at least in the case of the Anakin and Obi-Wan hilts, which have these big control boxes. It doesn't have the sharp corners, it's better balanced, it's easier to grip for all the choreography that happens with a lightsaber battle. Now, one would think that with hilts this important, even though they're stunt and we're not really looking at the stunt, we're looking at them, but they are moving so quickly that they fool the eye. That was something so big in the story, so important to how the story is presented to us, we would think that there would be quite a few offerings of those particular stunt sabers. Of all of them, those particular two. But there's not. And of the ones that are out there, the only one that allows for a NeoPixel and the stunt carbon fiber blade happens to be Korbanth. Now there are some others. There are the sabers, the Project A3 and O3, which are very, very good. In fact, the parts are interchangeable with the actual props. They're made from the same materials with a threaded core in between them to be able to put them together. The only thing is that they just stay on the wall. Then there's also Vader sabers. Vader sabers had a NeoPixel version of it, I believe with a XenoPixel in it, which is an LGT version, surprisingly. I'm not a huge fan of LGT or TXQ. We've had that talk before. I'm sad to say, though, that NeoPixel version that came installed, you couldn't put the stunt saber into, which is kind of surprising. So we've got one that's only static, we've got one that's only NeoPixel, and then we had SP sabers. Now, SP sabers is kind of interesting because it came static, but with a vented pommel as an extra pommel, not unlike what you get with Roman props. So you would have this hilt that was designed to be installed if you wanted it to be. So you had a hilt that was static, designed to be installed. Again, you can only have NeoPixel, but no stunt. So when I started to get into the whole background of these sabers, I found out that these existed, and I reached out to Korbanth and I asked if I could have a set to borrow. And again, I'm not keeping any of these. Can I have a set to borrow so I can look at them and kind of make an evaluation? And as you know, I do not shy away from comparisons. Just in the intro here, we're already comparing. They were kind enough to send out this set, which I will be returning. They are really interesting. Let's go ahead and have a look. Okay, guys. Hey, my wife swears that the blue background with the Death Star over here and the silhouette down here is the best one to go with. I kind of felt like this was the one I wanted to go with this week. You know, I change them all the time. Can you guys just let me know in the comment down below? Okay, here it is. And again, Korbanth has done a really good job with their boxes. I mean, most of the boxes I have are KR, Elf, and Shadowfoil, and while they are simple and elegant, and I quite like them actually that way, Korbanth on some of their hilts produces these boxes with these fantastic scenes on them and lots of color, and I mean, they're kind of collectible all by themselves. I give credit where credit is due. We have, the Korbanth plaque. So Nick Gillard, he did the choreography for Anakin and Obi-Wan, or Hayden and Ewan. I guess you can get it signed, at something like a Star Wars Celebration. That's actually pretty cool, even just like that. I like that. Okay. So, all right. So we have. Oh, you know what? Let's lose this. Oh yeah, much better. Okay, so we have the toolkit, one for each, and pommel. Okay, obviously a static pommel for both. Static pommel for both, and this is for the carbon fiber. It's a much smaller opening aperture there, and I'm guessing that this is going to be the same for the Anakin. So let's pull out the Anakin first. A fingerprint magnet. So this is your power button and your auxiliary button. Gesture controls. And it's actually really deep. The socket is here, or the PCB is here, the connectors. That's a really deep set. So if you're going to duel, even with the NeoPixel blades, which these are 7/8 inch blades, you'd really kind of want to be careful with dueling with the 7/8 inch blades. The nice thing about 7/8 inch is that it's brighter, even without having to get like a hex blade or one of the pixel sticks or something. That the 7/8 inch is always going to be brighter because it's thinner. So this is a 7/8 inch blade, and you rotate this out and put this one in its place, and then you're able to put in, if it was threaded in, that would then allow you to put the Stunt saber blade in here, the carbon fiber. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is really cool. Now here's something that, I saw some people doing reviews on these sabers. So in part of that research, I was watching some other reviewers, and one thing that they did not mention is this. So you've got the effects blade in here, right? The NeoPixel blade, or you can put the carbon fiber in. All right, so you put it in, you light it up. So then what makes it different than the LGT? Obviously, aside from quality and so on, what makes it different than the LGT or a Profi install, a custom install on the SP Sabers version of this? And the difference is this. This one allows you to have a carbon fiber blade in, and while the carbon fiber is there and you're just smacking the crap out of each other, you still have the sounds. And that, I think, is pretty sick. I like that. So let's take a look here at the Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is a little bit more interesting, and actually the original props are similar in this regard. They had a threaded rod in between here, and they're made from Delron and plastic with a vacuum metallized covering on them. They're very, very lightweight. And then you just insert the rod in. And the Anakin it broke down pretty simply, whereas the Obi-Wan was complicated like this one. Not that it's complicated, but it broke down into many parts. So check this out here. If you want to make this one, ready for a stunt, you have to take these out like this. First, you take out the neck here, right? This is the FX neck. And they give you this one to thread in its place. So we'll thread that in. And then this particular emitter section. Now what happens here is that it's got a stopper inside, and instead of the carbon fiber blade going down into the electronics, it stops. And this smaller aperture here will hold it in place while you swing it around. And again, it's going to have the carbon fiber blade in there. It's going to be making that clacking sound as it hits each other, but it's still going to have the effects coming out of it, and that's just really cool. It all comes apart pretty easily. The chassis are pretty nice. So there's two ways to do that. This is, again, the FX pommel. You can just take out the pommel, pull out your chassis. It's a 3.9, and hit the kill switch. That's one way to do it. It comes out, this one comes out entirely, and it has a crystal chamber. It's pretty decent. you do have to line up these buttons with these buttons. And you put this in. Now, it will unscrew from here too. I don't know why you would, but you can. The Annie grip this clamp section and this upper section until they break. Well, the threads break, and then you can pull out everything. So this chassis, this is a really interesting. I mean, it's kind of a basket. It's rather huge. You do have good access to the SD cards. So just find where the buttons go on and thread it in. So here you go. These are the heroes, and actually both of these heroes are for Mustafar. So this is my Shadowfoil Youngling Slayer, and this is the auction lot elite from Roman Props. And so these are very appropriate for measuring these out. And as you can see, there is a significant difference between the sizes. The basic elements are there. This is here, the wind vanes here are present. The grenade sections are here. The clamp, the booster, everything is in the hand wheel, the emitter. It's all appropriately here. The S curve here, the bunny ears, even with the little steps, it's all very closely reminiscent. There are issues here. Korbanth did a fantastic job. I will say I like that it's in stainless steel, very heavy, but I do like that it's in stainless steel. Here's where it falls short, you know, if we're going to be honest about things, is I've heard somebody else say that these are highly accurate, and you know, if they had them on the set, they'd be like, oh yeah, those are them. That's not true. Visually, at first, especially if they're not compared, they look pretty good. In fact, let's go ahead and pull these out to the side. They're pretty good. Here's where the issues are. They cannot be accurate with these buttons here. I mean, clearly, you need to have the buttons in order to have activation. I've seen the SP Sabers hilts that are done for this one, and there's a little button here. In fact, I'm putting a picture up right now. A little button here and a little button here. You can barely see them. Is it better to have them here and tinier than here? I like to grip up high, so the buttons being here are actually, for me, they're ideal here, because as you grip it, and you're going to want to grip it high, they're out of your way, right? So I don't particularly have a problem with the buttons being here. For me, it works out, and honestly, for most people, that's going to work out, because this is where you really want to grip them, not on the grips, but up here. They're also much bigger, these particular ones, than the actual the stunt props that they are based on. The only other options that you have out there for something like this is the LGT, which, you know, it's an LGT. The quality isn't there, the sound isn't there, the way the card responds to things isn't there, and it's not stainless steel. However, that one is a little bit shorter, so it's closer to the size, at least, as the original prop, but there are some flaws to the way it looks, and they end up kind of being equal anyway, and the sound is nowhere near what this one is. And it is only NeoPixel, whereas the Korbanth one, again, has the carbon fiber that comes out, and you can still use the sound effects in here, and I think that is the selling point. And I'm not a believer in, I'm just pushing somebody because, you know, those are the ones that I'm reviewing. So this is probably a good time for me to bring this up. I am not a salesman for Korbanth, or anyone else for that matter. Some companies have better one things than another. Some hilts are better than others in particular run. No particular favorite. I do like higher end hilts. If you have commented to me that you enjoy the fact that I compare and review higher end hilts when there are so many that do the TXQs. Like, really, quite a few. And they're all screen accurate. I'm a big believer in you get what you pay for. And very often, if you've got a very inexpensive saber and it's a TXQ, an LGT, something like that, you're going to get exactly what you paid for. A budget saber that's not going to look right. It's not going to be accurate. It's going to resemble a character. 10 years ago, collecting a lightsaber was kind of a rare and special thing. That's really changed now with the advent of drop shippers in particular. But the products being carried, the TXQs, the LGTs, they're not. They're just simply not up to the level of the better sabers. And I'm not trying to be elitist or anything here. I am way too Joe Sixpack to be elitist. But I would rather people avoid the mistakes I made when all these new hilts started coming in. When you look at that, LGT in particular, there's no comparison between the two. And the price difference is not that much. The reason I'm bringing all that up is this. Not because I'm being paid to, or because I'm getting them for free, or any other tangible benefit out of it. The fact of the matter is that there aren't really many options out there for these particular hilts. And I'm recommending it. I just want to be clear that although I like the products that I have reviewed so far, not Korbanth, KR, Shadowfoil, SP props, Jawas, Wattos, no one pays me for those opinions. This is between me and you, and I will always tell you the truth. So the fact that it comes standard with these particular chassis inside, these crystal chamber chassis inside, it comes standard with the use of a NeoPixel blade, or change out the emitters, and you can use this carbon fiber blade and still use the sound effects. That is the big selling point for me. Now visually, they're going to be close actually to the, I'm putting up a picture of the props now. They're close to the stunt props. So it is a beast. Here is now the chassis is in here, the battery's in here, so know that going into it. And we'll put this on. This is set to grams. 1,279 grams. It is 2 pounds, 13 ounces, so almost 3 pounds, just shy of 3 pounds. It's a beast. Because of the weight behind it, especially for holding it here, it will pull back, which is one of the reasons you do that. It will pull back on the blade. The reason pommels are bigger is so that it gives a counterweight to the blade. The Anakin version, it is 2 pounds, 1.3 ounces, or is quite a bit different actually, 943 grams, which is still remarkably heavy. Okay, so when it ships to you, the Profi card inside was set to 1,000. For video's sake, I did bump it up to 1,500. So, but it comes out clean. There's no distortion coming through, and I went through all the fonts. How loud are they? Okay, so here's the deal. At 1,500 respective fonts to the characters, not quite 9091, but between 88, I think it was 88.3 and 90.2. I think we need to go into the Grievous Awards. For the Grievous Awards, no, we are not going to compare them to the hero hilts because that would just be unfair, because stunt hilts and hero hilts don't look anything alike. So we're pulling that one out. But based on the imagery that we have, and I'm putting some of that up now, the two hilts look very similar separately from the actual stunt props. Separately, they look pretty good. There's some coloring and some size differences here, at least in ratio to each other. There are some differences there. That aside, and not looking at the buttons on here, but taken by themselves, they are very similar to the stunt props. They are. Let me know what you think down below. That said, are they accurate? Well, technically, no, because, well, one, they're bigger than the stunt props. So we can't say that they are accurate. However, the accurate ones that are out there are really only accurate because they didn't have the buttons and they sat on the wall and didn't do anything. For these, especially a stunt, which is designed for swinging around, I want sound in it. I want to do stunts with my stunt. I'm going to collect the ones that actually have effects on them. You're going to have buttons, period. And that's just the way it is. So It's really going to be a matter of placement of the buttons. I've seen the buttons placed up here. You wouldn't really want them down here. So for the Obi-Wan, it's a little bit more difficult as to where you'd put those. So this is pretty much the only place to put them. With the Anakin, you could move them up into here, and although visually that looks nice, operationally, you're going to be grabbing it from up here. So not the greatest of placement. So with all that considered, yeah, the buttons are fine. And the real props also had these empty areas here. I'm not sure if you can see that, but see there's like a little ridge here and here kind of surrounding those buttons, and the same thing here. This is a little bit easier to see. The stunt prop had the same thing. I'm showing you in a picture now. It had the same thing. It just didn't have the buttons there. So visually, although bigger and obviously heavier than the original stunt props, they are actually pretty good. So I'm going to get, since we have 1 Grievous being the low end and 5 Grievouses being high, I'm going to give the Obi-Wan 3, because there is a little bit of a difference between this one and the original prop. But for the Anakin, I'm going to give them 4, because it is very much alike, which is going to give Anakin the Grievous Award. So why did I judge these separately? That's because you can buy these separately or as a set from Korbanth. Not only can you buy them separately or as a set, you can buy them installed or empty. You know, if cost is a factor, or if you just want to hang them on a wall or not. And if you buy them one or the other, then you could actually do this one installed and this one empty, or the other way around. So that's why I decided to do the Grievous separately. Now, all that said, there is a sale happening now at Korbanth, up to 30% off. And as you may know, Korbanth has given my viewers a 20% discount code by entering Kitty.dad when you are checking out. There in the comment section of the billing portion, you can put in Kitty.dad, Kitty.dad, all one word, for 20% off, except for this month. For this month, because they have a sale across the board up to 30% off, any codes that you have will not be working because they already have a very good sale going on. Thanks again for coming out and spending time with me on this one. I mean, they are actually pretty cool. They are heavy, but they are actually pretty cool. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing and leave a comment down below. The comments and the subscribers really, really do help the algorithm allow me to keep these programs coming to you with this kind of content. So thank you once again. Thank you to Korbanth. You will be getting these back. I'm shipping them out tomorrow. Thank you again for coming on. And as I always say, remember, your focus determines your reality. May the Force be with you.